Strategy number one, the key to developing focus. You know, really, to be successful in working from home, focus is the absolute key. And pretty much everything we cover in the rest of this course is going to be about how to be more focused and how to be focused on the right things. So that when you're working, you're getting the maximum leverage out of your work. And when you're playing, you can completely disconnect from what you were doing at work. That's the key, and this is what we're going to talk about here, is the key to developing focus. Now, the number one tool that helps me with focus is my daily prioritized list. Now, this might sound overly simplistic, but the truth is, working from a list is critical to success. The key is to develop the habit of working from a list daily. Every single day you start with your list, and every single day you prioritize it according to what I'm going to show you here. Now, if you don't develop the habit, you will flounder and you won't get much done. So it's really critical that you focus on developing this habit every day. Here's how to do it. First thing in the morning, write out your list on a yellow pad or on a piece of paper. Now, by the way, I strongly recommend pen and paper for this. I am not a big fan of typing it out on a Word document or notepad or even any of these more recent developments where, they're designed to help you focus. I'm a big fan of writing out your list. There's something about writing your list out with your hand that develops a connection between your brain, and when you're writing that stuff out, it actually locks into your brain, and it's very different from when you type it out. So that's why I'm making the point here. I'm not just being some old school guy. I'm saying there is a subconscious link between handwriting a list and versus typing a list out. Now, when you first write your list out, don't number it. Don't start by prioritizing your list and saying, okay, number one, I have to do this. Number two, I have to do this. Just brain dump all of it onto the paper. Brain dump everything that you know you need to do that day onto the paper. Then, after you've done that, that's when we're going to start prioritizing. So, brain dump the most important money-generating action items you need to do onto the sheet. That's step one. And then step two is begin prioritizing your list by placing a number score next to each action item. Now, I usually use 1, 2, or 3, with number 1 obviously being the most important action item. Now, you might have 2 or 3 number 1 items. In other words, you might have 2 or 3 items that you say, okay, this is a number 1 priority. And that's fine, because you're going to be able to choose from those number 1 priorities and then work your way down to the number 2 priority items. Finally, begin numbering your list, starting with the items numbered 1 and then going to 2 and so on. So let's say you have 3 number 1 items. Put another order right next to those numbers, maybe to the left of those numbers, where you actually do have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this way you're giving your mind complete clarity as to what comes first, what comes next, and how you should do it. This is really important because part of what we're doing here is we're retraining our brain to focus on the most productive thing possible at any given moment in time. And at first, you have to manually train yourself to do this. But over time, this will all come very naturally for you. Once you've done this, begin taking action on number 1-1, and then 2-1, and then 3-1, etc., all the way down your list. Now, you have to be committed to taking action. You need to have a commitment to actually take action on any item on your list in the order that you've numbered it, no matter how difficult sounding or how stressful you think it might be. This is the key, by the way, to developing focus, is knowing that when you make that list, you're committing to do everything on that list. And then when you number it, you're committing to doing it in that order. And you are not balking at it. You're not shying away from it. You're going after it. Often we don't succeed in our home business because we put off doing the difficult things, the stressful things, the things we know we need to do in order to succeed, but we just don't feel like doing it. I used to be in a business a long time ago where I used to do cold calls, and I used to call people out of the white pages and out of the yellow pages, but I used to literally call people cold, people I did not know, And I used to do 3 or 4 hours of cold calls every day. Now, did I want to do those calls? Absolutely not. I hated doing those calls. In fact, I was a shy, introverted person when I was doing these calls. But you know what it did for me? Number one, it gave me the discipline to do something I knew I didn't want to do, but do it because I knew the results were going to be great. And they were, by the way. All those cold calls paid off really, really well. So, in the same way, you've got to do the same thing mentally, is retrain your brain to say, you know what? I know I don't feel like doing this 1-1 item. I know it's probably one of the hardest things on my whole list. And I know that I'd rather probably do the 3-2 item or the 5-1 item. But Dave told me I've got to do the 1-1 item no matter how hard it seems, no matter how difficult it might be, or no matter how much I don't want to do it. And I know that if I do that 1-1 item, I will be so much further ahead in my business than I am now. So I'm going to commit and do the 1-1 item. You see, at first you might have to talk yourself into it, but over time, it will just be natural. It'll come naturally. You'll say, okay, this is 1-1, let's do it. This is 1-2, let's get it done. This is 1-3, that's next. You'll be like a machine, and you'll be doing the things that you know will bring you the most success, the things that bring you the most leverage, and the things that bring you the most profit. So that is a key, a big key, by the way, to home-based business success. Doing these hard things first develops the discipline muscle for achieving success. Now, it's not always that the most profitable or the most productive thing is a hard thing to do, but it is very common that the most profitable thing is usually a hard thing to do. Key point, you might not get your whole list done, and that's okay. You've got to be okay with this. In fact, some of my best days, my most profitable, most productive days, have been when I get just a few of the items on my list done, but I realize that those were difficult, focus-consuming mind tasks that needed to be done. In other words, they take a lot of mind work, they take a lot of energy mentally to do, but I got it done and it was on my list in the right priority order, and I knew that it was going to be a profitable result. Learn to feel accomplishment whenever you get some of your action items done, and don't be too legalistic and think, you know what, I have to do all of these on my list in order to feel accomplishment. This is key, because one of the big keys to being successful working from home is not beating yourself up. There's plenty of opportunities to beat yourself up, and there's plenty of opportunities for other people to beat you up. But what you want to do is do not beat yourself up. You want to work in a relaxed mental environment. You want to say, you know what, today I only got 3 items on my list done, but man, look at the results that are going to come from these top 3 prioritized items. You have to be okay with that, and don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too legalistic, because when you do that, you end up putting yourself into a negative frame loop, and that can have really bad consequences for your business. So you have to keep yourself mentally healthy and mentally relaxed at everything you do as you're building your home-based business. Now, the reason it's important to celebrate your daily accomplishments is because this allows you to build a positive feedback loop where you write a list, do some of the items on the list, and feel accomplishment. You've got to feel that accomplishment, because that's going to carry you through the next day and the next day and the next day. And that feeling of accomplishment is gold to you. If you break any part of that loop, it's like you're starting all over again. So don't do that. Don't get yourself into a negative loop, and don't break any part of the positive loop. You need to complete the loop often and consistently in order to build the success habit and develop the discipline necessary for success. Now, there's much more to talk about in the area of building the right focus for success. Like I said, most of this course is going to be about getting yourself in the right environment to focus, to stay focused, and to hyper-focus. So I've incorporated those in upcoming videos.